Well, Blake 7 continues to cruise along through a couple of kind of weird episodes with animals and Headhunter. So first up, animals. No, it was not inspired by the Pink Floyd album. No, it was very loosely, I would say, inspired by the island of Dr. Moreau. And yeah, you loosely could say, hey, it's the planet of Dr. Moreau, and that's kind of the situation. But basically, this scientist who was a tutor to Dana is there, and she and Terrence show up to try to recruit his help in their cause and all this stuff. Well, there's a Federation attack on the Scorpio. Terrence got to teleport back to deal with that. Dana runs into these beast men and eventually is rescued by her old tutor and romantic interest. Yeah, it was that kind of thing. She was quite the teacher's pet in more ways than one. And so they're in his lab, and he explains, yeah, well, the rest of the team's dead. They got shot down, but we were hired to come up with some super soldiers that are resistant to radiation during the, the intergalactic war deal. And that was their mission. But since he's the only one left, and all the mess left in the aftermath of the war, well, the Federation just hadn't had time to get back to him, Meanwhile, he's been continuing his experiments of creating a race that could survive within the radioactive nature of the planet and this sort of thing. Well, Servalan gets wind of this, and so she's like, well, let's go see what their work has done, and plus the Federation has noticed the Scorpio goes a lot faster, and they're like, hey, what's this? This sort of thing. And so the interest in that. But Scorpio's damaged. They got to go back to home base, try to fix that, and then hope that they can come back and recover Dana. Meanwhile, Servalan, and of course, Servalan's still hiding under her alias, not wanting everyone to know who she is and all that, but that's just the ongoing subplot here. Kills a blind guy in this who recognizes her voice. So got to take him out, so she does, Eventually, captures Dana, who tries to convince the animal men to come back and work with her teacher boyfriend, But they knock her off a cliff, so she gets captured by Servalan and the Federation. Turns out Servalan, and of course, I guess this alludes to this pacification drug they had that they had discovered. But here it's full-on mind control. Very quickly, she's able to brainwash, hypnotize, whatever, Dana, and convince her that she absolutely hates her old professor. So she goes back to the professor's lab and convinces him to unlock the door, and then here comes the Federation and betrays him, And Servalan is, hey, you're going to work for me. Never. Well, you'll never get Dana back. And he's like, oh, my beloved Dana. So he says, all right, I'll give you whatever you want. Just make her back the way she was. And, that's not going to work out. The animals attack, whatever. Of course, Avon and everybody shows up, but the lab's been ransacked. Servalan's trying to escape to her ship. Dana escapes, but her boyfriend doesn't quite make it before Servalan kills him, and then later just dumps his body out in the pasture. And Dana finds him and, oh no! Yeah, it's pretty rude ending to that little romance, Of course, I kind of thought her and Terrence were going to be a thing, Seems like it. Then again, he hauled ass and left her there, So, that's about it. That was the deal. Like I said, loosely, it wasn't the whole thing of delving into the morality of what he was doing with his experiments and all that. And it was just him and Dana being reunited. And once again, Servalan spoils the party and giving Dana another reason to want to kill Servalan, as if she didn't already have enough motivation to do so. But now, even more, you know. So that's how that went, and everybody ended up with really nothing. So that was a bust. So anyway, get back on the horse and try for something else. So next episode with Headhunter, aptly named in some ways. So they're looking for yet another brilliant scientist who can help them out, and they go to recover him. They find him, and he says, I've been attacked or whatever. And so Terrence says, all right, we'll teleport back to the ship. They do, but he says, hey, look at this box, I'll bring it. And the scientist is like, no. But they teleport back with it anyway, and then the guy freaks out, attacks Terrence. Villa hits the guy over the head with a wrench, and he collapses dead. And, like, damn it, Villa, this is the guy we came for. And, well, he was killing you or something. He said, well, let's freeze him. Maybe we can resurrect him on the home base, So, all right. But then they start having computer problems. Oh, yeah, it's weird. It's almost as if there's a poltergeist in the ship or something. Turns out... it begins to suspect, hey, there's something in the box. What's in the box? Yeah, that's what's in that box. But turns out, what's his name? I can't remember. Was it Mueller or something like that? The scientist, not as dead as he thought, and he's walking around in that ridiculous outfit they had him in. And there's a reason why, but still looked really stupid and silly. And he wouldn't be caught dead in it, so he starts walking around attacking them, and they got to deal with it. But nothing seems to work. They try to shoot him. Their computers are going to crap, and the guy's wife was with them, and she's like, "Oh, my darling," and he just kills her, crushing her spine and stuff. And they're like, "Holy crap!" And they start trying to shoot him, but he's able to deactivate their weapons and stuff. And they're like, "Hey, something's up here." So they end up going to this planet, and he follows them there. And it's an old abandoned, power station or something, but he can't use his circuitry dominating powers to do it. But in the meantime, they realized, oh crap, he's not really the scientist, he's an android. And that's not his head, so the head gets knocked off. And turns out the android stopped the scientist from putting this android head on him that would have him under control. So he killed the scientist, took his head off, and put the head on his shoulders. Seems like you would have noticed. But anyway, I was able to use it, talk through it and everything, and fool them into thinking he was the scientist, even though, boy, you look a lot taller than you used to. And but the reason the hooded suit was designed was because you were going to have, your body double guy performing the android and make him look like he's the headless android, which, he was. And, of course, you got to have an extra padded shoulder on top for him to look out through peepholes in the chest, I suppose. And that's why he looked so silly. So, it's a running battle, so they got to make a trap for him to electrocute him, which they do. But Avon's plan is like, oh, what's a powerful weapon? We must use it. So he's going to put the head on the android once it's subdued. But Terrence and Dana decide, nah, this thing's too powerful. We don't want that piece of crap around. And they're probably right, But Avon thought, you fools, this could be the ultimate weapon against the Federation. But they just knock him out and destroy the android. So Yeah, Avon's upset and it's going to be all grumpy and stuff, but it's not that anyone will notice, so they're good with that. So there you go. 2 episodes where they're pursuing a scientist and then their technological know-how to get the edge over the Federation. And they struck out twice. Yeah. But, the android was too powerful despite looking ridiculous. And obviously didn't want to be controlled, so that was always going to be a problem. And as far as the brilliant scientist, well, he lost his head.